auf geht's. Ich hoffe, ihr hattet auch alle ein schönes... Moment, was ist jetzt los? Hä? Hab ich nicht... Was? Hab ich nicht meinen Spielstand geladen? Was ist los? Was? Hä? Hallo? Habe ich aus Versehen New Game gewählt? So fängt das Spiel doch eigentlich an. Moment. Dürfte ich jetzt mal das Menü öffnen? Oh. Okay, no. Ne, Moment, da stand, glaube ich, was Neues. Today I'll stand in court as a lawyer. To prove a killer innocent. Ah, okay. Da stand auch gerade was von wegen I've had this dream before. Das habe ich jetzt leider weggeklickt. Ich war schon jetzt total verwirrt, weil das ist ja eigentlich, fängt das Spiel so an. Ich dachte, ich hätte aus Versehen nicht meinen Spielstand geladen, sondern irgendwie ein New Game gemacht, obwohl ich mir total sicher war, dass ich das nicht getan habe. Das hat mich jetzt total aus dem Konzept gebracht. Ah, gut. So. March 23rd, 9:43. Oh, hello, Drew. What are you doing here? But, hello. Alright. Hello, this is Phoenix, right? You don't look so well, dude. You're gonna prove me not guilty today, right? Warum, wir sind doch genau hier. Warum, telefoniert er mit uns? Ja, ist eine super Idee, deine Bösewicht-Persona direkt vor dem Gericht zu zeigen, obwohl niemand wissen soll, dass... Ach, was soll's. Der Typ ist ja eh nicht so intelligent, habe ich das Gefühl. If you please, Mr. Lawyer. Remember, it's not just me. Your precious friend's life is riding on today's verdict, too. Now listen up, you better get on guard a guilty sentence, okay? If you get the creepy slimebagger not guilty, I'll never forgive you, ever. Maya. Phoenix. Oh, Moment. Ich muss irgendwas, Wichtiges aufmachen. Cheers. Ja, kann man trinken. Oder ist das jetzt auch verboten auf Twitch? Oh Gott. Mia? Maya. How's Maya? I don't know. You don't know? She hasn't tried to channel me since yesterday. Mia, what am I supposed to do? Well, like I said, for a lawyer, the worst of times are when you have to force your biggest smiles. But you can't give up. There's still some hope left. Stop it, please. There's nothing left. Not here. Not anywhere. Oh, it's that accursed and on guard again. Will you leave me alone? Look, don't call me anymore. I mean it. Oops, that was not on guard. You're really mean, pal. Oh, Gumshoe, I'm really sorry. Where are you? Let me join the investigation team and we're chasing after the killer, pal. Oh, war der nicht gefeuert? Ja, okay. Then you have some sort of lead? Sorry, but right now we've got 0 leads on the guy. But we're not going to give up. Gumshoe, until the trial is over, until the verdict is handed down, we're going to do everything we can and find the killer. If we can get Maya out, then you can get on guard the guilty verdict he deserves, pal. That's true, I could do that if I found Maya first. You got that? So you have to do whatever you can to make the trial last longer. I have to make the trial last longer. If you go at Mr. Edgeworth with everything you've got, then you too can draw it out. Oh, now I get it. Also spielen wir ein bisschen auf Zeit. I believe in you, pal. You and Mr. Edgeworth can do it. So, believe in us. We're going to give it all we've got, just like you. Got it. Thanks, Gumshoe.
Hey, Phoenix. You understand now, don't you? You have something money will never be able to buy. Friendship. It's the strongest weapon in the world, and you have it in abundance.
Yeah. Still weird to see her tits almost fall out of that little dress. Looks like we're coming to the end. I have to make the trial last as long as I can. Gumshoe will come through, I know it. Na, dann schauen wir mal. Wäre ja der Hit, wenn wir jetzt gleich so ein schlagendes Argument präsentieren, dass automatisch alles vorbei ist.
Court is now in session for the trial of Matt Ungard.
The defense is ready, Your Honor.
The prosecution has been ready for a while, Your Honor.
Now, as I recall, we concluded yesterday's session with a big mystery on our hands. The mystery being what exactly was Miss Adrian Andrews' role in this murder.
Stimmt, ich muss mich jetzt selber erstmal erinnern. Das ist ja schon wieder eine Weile her. Wir hatten ja als letztes versucht, Adrian Andrews den Mord anzuhängen, bis wir dann später herausgefunden haben, dass sie es ja doch nicht war.
That is to say, is she really connected to the crime itself? Mr. Edgeworth, if you would please inform the court of today's proceedings.
Adrian Andrews. She forged evidence that threw suspicion onto Mr. Ungard, and then proceeded to escape the crime scene by wearing a nickel samurai costume. The guilt of these actions are those from which she cannot escape.
Then you're saying that she's guilty after all.
I'm not finished, Your Honor. Miss Andrews has nothing to do with committing the actual murder. I would like to direct the court's attention to this card.
What is that? Looks like a shell.
This is the calling card of a certain assassin.
Assassin, you say?
Yes, Quan Corridor was killed by a professional assassin. And the person who hired the assassin, his client so to speak, is Matt Ungard. Es ist jetzt schon ein komisches Gefühl, dass wir dagegen argumentieren müssen, obwohl wir eigentlich selber wissen, dass es stimmt.
What a surprising turn of events.
Well, I would think it's become commonplace by now, Your Honor. I know what's going on this time, so I know that everything Edgeworth has said is true. But we still have to hold out as long as we can. At least until Maya is safe and sound. I wonder how the trial will turn out today.
Now then, please call your first witness, Mr. Edgeworth.
The prosecution calls the defendant's mentor, Mr. Will Powers, to the stand. Oh, Will Powers. Okay. Now then, Witness, your name and occupation, please. Mal sehen, ob es diesmal klappt. Edgeworth hatte doch im ersten Teil ständig Probleme, dass seine Zeugen ihren Namen gesagt haben.
Okay. I'm, Will Powers. I'm a poor, underpaid action star.
And what is your relation to the defendant?
Well, I guess I'm sort of a lousy mentor to him in a way, yeah. Mr. Powers, please, you don't need to put yourself down so much. Oh, sorry. Well, but I'm just kind of nothing sort of guy.
On the night of the murder, you visited the defendant's room. Is this correct?
Yes.
I didn't know that. Huh.
But you know, I didn't actually get to see Matt when I went.
All you need to do is answer what you're asked. Now then, I would like you to please testify about when you went to Mr. Ungard's room.
Okay, sure.
Okay, after the award ceremony, I went by myself to Matt's room.
Matt was standing there in front of his room, still in his nickel samurai costume. He was talking with someone. At first I thought it was the bellboy. Das sieht so ein bisschen aus, als könnte das der Attentäter gewesen sein, der Shelley, the killer.
I watched the two of them for a while, but then I gave up and went back. I had guests with me that night, and I couldn't make them wait for me. Nothing sounds out of place in Mr. Power's testimony.
And talking with a bellboy is no big deal. If one assumes that the person Mr. Ongard was speaking with was an ordinary bellboy.
What are you implying?
Well, Mr. Wright, let's have your cross-examination, shall we? Looks like we're in another sticky situation. Huh? A trap. Can't you smell it, Phoenix? But for us to find out more, we're just going to have to charge in head first, right?
Okay.
Ich press einfach mal alles. Wenn irgendjemand was Verdächtiges auffällt, was mir nicht auffällt, dann einfach Bescheid sagen. I went by myself to Matt's room. The defendant's room. Why did you go there?
Well, I'm his mentor, like a big brother sort of, and I wanted to say congrats. What's wrong? Why did you stop? Mr. Wright?
What is it?
You're going to try to trick me into a corner, aren't you?
Huh?
I know I'm just a poor underpaid action star, but I'm not the killer.
No one said you were, Mr. Powers.
No, please, don't trick me. Every time you do your lawyer thing, the witness suddenly turns into the bad guy.
Every time? Witness, I will personally talk to the defense at a later time, so for now, please kindly cooperate and continue with your testimony.
Sorry. So, you went to the defendant's room and then?
Wait a minute. When and how did I suddenly turn into the bad guy here? Matt was standing there in front of his room, still in his costume. Are you sure that was Matt on guard?
Yeah, I'm sure. He wasn't wearing the nickel samurai mask then.
If that's the case, then he really can't be mistaken. And what was the defendant doing standing in front of his own room? He was talking with someone. First I thought it was the bellboy. At first? What do you mean by that?
Well, he was in a bellboyish uniform and he had a bottle of juice on a tray.
Sounds like an ordinary bellboy to me.
Yeah, but I didn't think he was a normal bellboy.
And why was that?
Oh, why did I think that, Mr. Wright?
How am I supposed to know?
Sorry, but I can't remember right now. Sorry.
I guess I'm gonna have to wait patiently on this one.
I watched the two of them for a while and then I gave up and went back.
You saw the two of them, the bellboy and the defendant, together, correct?
Yeah, the bellboy just wanted to say congrats.
Now, while you were watching the two of them, did you notice anything strange?
You know, I did feel something weird. I think it was because Matt, well, he gave the bellboy a tip.
A tip? But that's a perfectly normal thing to do.
So, how long did you watch the two of them? Not more than a minute or two, I think.
I had guests with me that night and couldn't make them wait for me. Das waren ja wir, no? So who are these guests you're talking about?
You guys, of course. You and Maya and Little Pearl. I thought it would be really rude since I invited you guys if I disappeared on you. So I went back to my seat pretty soon after seeing Matt in the hallway.
This is like squeezing water from a stone. It's probably pointless to press further. Do you remember this incident? Did Mr. Powers leave his seat that night? I don't remember that happening at all. Maya was making such a racket in her hyperstate, I ended up focusing on her. I see. In any case, from his story, he probably wasn't gone for very long. Wie? Das war's? Vielleicht nochmal das pressen, was wir vorhin gepresst haben, wo es hieß, da sollten wir nochmal zurück. First, what do you mean by that? Didn't think it was a normal bellboy. Why was that? Why did I think that? How am I supposed to know? Wait a second. Actually, Mr. Powers, only a few minutes ago you stated...
You know, I did feel something weird. I think it was because Matt, well, he gave the bellboy a tip.
Could it be that you felt something strange about the tip-giving incident itself?
Ah, yeah, that's it. You really know your job.
Mr. Edgeworth.
Yes, Your Honor.
This bellboy, he wasn't an ordinary one, was he?
Perhaps we should let the witness tell us.
Very well. Mr. Powers, please amend your testimony. You mean about the bellboy, right? Matt gave the bellboy a tip.
Okay. So he gave the bellboy a tip. What's so strange about that?
Oh, well, you see, Matt's not a poor penny pincher like me. I was trying to figure out how much it was because the tip really shocked me.
How much it was? Hat den da vielleicht bezahlt?
But that's when something even more surprising happened. The bellboy was putting the tip he got in his pocket, and that's when I got my first good look at the guy's face. I was really shocked.
I'm afraid I don't follow at all.
It sounds like Mr. Powers was surprised twice by this event. Oops. I wonder which of his shocking moments I should ask about. Vielleicht erstmal das Gesicht. Wenn das Gesicht von dem The Killer war ja ziemlich eindeutig. What was so shocking about the bellboy's face, Mr. Powers?
Well, he wasn't exactly a boy, more like an old Gramps.
I hope you know that discrimination towards old men is a no-no in my court.
No, that's not what I meant at all. In the smack middle of the guy's face, there was a line of stitches.
Aha.
A line of stitches?
Yeah, and it went straight from the top of his head to the bottom of his chin.
Wo ist eigentlich mein Handy hin? Ich habe mein Handy verloren. Naja, egal.
Almost like if the thread snapped, all the stuff in his head would come spilling.
Oh my god, das ist ein bisschen eklig. He was there at aRdW's house. He was that butler.
What is it, Mr. Wright?
Nothing, Your Honor. So that means aRdW was talking with the killer then. If that fact were to be exposed, aRdW would be declared guilty in a blink. Phoenix, you have to play dumb here. Pretend you don't know anything. Yes, Chief.
You sure you don't have anything you would like to say, Mr. Wright?
Huh? What did you just say, Your Honor?
Nothing, Mr. Wright, nothing. We're just going around and around in circles. Now then, Mr. Powers, please continue with your testimony.
Okay. Moment. Kann ich das andere jetzt auch noch checken? Sonst fällt mir nämlich gerade überhaupt nichts ein, was ich machen soll. Geht der Chat eigentlich noch? Oder gerade so still? Nicht, dass ihr quasseln müsst. Ich frage mich das nur mal. Ja, okay, geht noch. The defendant is a huge star. He can afford to give generous tips, wouldn't you agree?
Sure. But giving him that much was maybe a little too much, I think.
A little too much? Would you please clarify for the court about how much would you say the defendant gave to the bellboy?
Honestly, I don't know. I can't even begin to guess.
Achso, ja, der Lag ist ja normal. Das sind meistens so 8 bis 10 Sekunden.
And why is that? Because he gave the bellboy a really, really fat roll of cash.
Oh shit. A roll of cash. Das, hätten wir vielleicht lieber nicht fragen sollen.
Oh, well, how interesting.
That certainly was a very generous tip, wasn't it?
A very fat roll of cash. That can hardly be called a tip, Your Honor. Uh-oh. The judge is beginning to look awfully suspicious of us. Well, wait and see, klingt nicht so gut. The defendant is a superstar. That kind of tip is typical fare for people like him. Are you saying that all superstars are super spenders? If I could receive large rolls of cash by simply bringing people things on trays, then why on earth would I stand around here prosecuting? He's got a point. I don't even get paid, let alone rolls of cash for all my hard work.
So supposing that roll of cash was not a tip, then what was it?
Payment, Your Honor.
Payment?
Isn't it obvious for the murder of Mr. Juan Corrida?
Then the bellboy the witness saw.
Yes, he was the assassin.
Hold your horses now, Mr. Edgeworth. You don't have any proof of this, do you?
Have I ever been unprepared to support my claims, Your Honor? I have here the card Shelley the Killer left at the scene of the crime.
Shelley the Killer?
He is the person the police's special investigations team has been chasing for ages. I am certain that the person the witness saw was this very assassin, Shelley the Killer.
Really? What's wrong, Mr. Powers?
No, nothing. Something just clicked in my head and I think I just figured something out.
Oh?
Actually, I saw that bellboy again later on that night.
What?
Uh-oh.
Mr. Powers, please testify. Tell us what you saw.
Yes, sir. Right away. This time, I was in that hallway because I had to go to the bathroom. And that's when that bellboy I saw earlier came out of the room. Of course, when I say room, I mean Juan Corrida's room. Now that I think about it, that bellboy did seem kind of out of place. Yeah, so he had to be the assassin, I'm sure of it. I mean... Was heißt hier I mean? Thank you very much. That is all we need for now. Oh? But I'm not done. There's still more. Let us first establish that the bellboy was truly Mr. the Killer, then we shall see.
So the bellboy came out of the victim's room. And if that bellboy really was the assassin, then I think the answer is fairly obvious.
That will be correct, Your Honor. Well, Mr. Wright, I believe it is your turn to entertain and to make us laugh. Dankeschön. Ha 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 ha. This is no laughing matter, you don't say. Second time. This time I was in that hallway because I had to go to the bathroom. And what time was it? Oh, well, I don't remember. The award ceremony ended around 8 p.m., right? And I went to Matt's room pretty soon after that, and then I came back. And then I went to the bathroom. Well, so I guess maybe it was around 10 p.m. by that time? You're not one for details, are you, Mr. Powers? Aber, ich meine, zu seiner Entschuldigung, ich gucke jetzt auch nicht die ganze Zeit auf die Genau, ich gucke auch nicht die ganze Zeit auf die Toilette, wenn ich auf die Uhr gehe. Andersrum. Wie wäre eigentlich mit der nein, nicht Suicide Report. Wo ist denn der Autopsy Report? Haben wir den gar nicht mehr? Ich wollte mal eben wissen, wann er nochmal gestorben ist. 8:15 Uhr, okay. Sorry. I thought I could maybe catch Matt and say my congrats. And that's when that bellboy I saw earlier came out of the room. Würde ja zeitlich ungefähr passen. Are you sure it was the same bellboy? Yeah. And how could you tell? All the bellboys wear the same uniform after all, and er hat das Gesicht getötet. But you see, well, he had those stitches in his face. So I'm sure it's the same guy that was talking with Matt. So which room did the bellboy come out of? And of course, when I say room, I mean Juan Corrida's room. The victim's room. Huh? Ich finde das ganz interessant, dass die Aussagen so geschrieben sind und die Gespräche, wenn man Press auswählt, dass es trotzdem immer noch daran anschließt. The victim's room, huh?
Yeah, the one with all the really pretty flowers and teddy bears. It was Juan's room, all right.
Words cannot describe how screwed I am. Indeed.
Let's continue with the testimony, shall we?
Now that I think about it, that bellboy did seem kind of out of place. So what exactly was so out of place about him? Right. Why the insipid grin? Maybe because I have no idea what damaging thing he's going to say next.
Oh, well, the bellboy was empty-handed.
Empty-handed? Na und? Hat er halt ein Glas da reingebracht. Das ist doch jetzt, passt doch eigentlich.
That bellboy was one of those room service people, right? But he wasn't pushing a cart, and he wasn't holding a tray either. You'd call that a little strange too, wouldn't you?
I agree that it is a bit strange, Mr. Powers.
But is it really that unusual for a bellboy to be empty-handed? What should I do? Should I let Mr. Powers' testimony slide or try to pull a fast one? Was soll das denn heißen? Ich press erstmal weiter. You're right, I think it's pretty unusual too.
Oh, I thought you might think so.
There's no need to say anything when the defense gives up without a fight. Hätte ich vielleicht doch was machen sollen? Let's move on. Versuche ich sonst gleich nochmal.
Anyway, Mr. Powers, you thought the bellboy was a little suspicious, correct?
Yeah, so he had to be the assassin, I'm sure of it.
Please don't be so quick to judge.
But it's kind of a Powers family thing. Think of every person as a thief.
Well, I guess a thief and an assassin are both sneaky and silent.
That's not the point, Phoenix. In any case, if that bellboy was the assassin, it would be very bad for us.
But he really is the assassin, you know.
Yes, but you can't give in yet. If you want to prolong this trial for as long as possible, you're going to have to pull some cheap tricks on this one.
Okay, das klingt, als hätte ich das doch gerade auswählen sollen, wenn sie das jetzt schon so sagt. Ja, okay, die Aussage ist auch vorbei dann. Probiere ich das jetzt mal. Okay. There's nothing strange or unusual about an empty-handed bellboy.
But there really, really is.
There really, really isn't.
If you two are done being... Das ist schön gesagt. If you two are done being school children, bellboys are for room service. There's no reason for them to be empty-handed ever. Your Honor, I ask that the witness's previous statement be supplanted with this new one.
Edgeworth, are you going to do whatever you can to make the bellboy look suspicious? I see. Very well. This court recognizes and grants the prosecution's request. Mr. Powers, if you could amend your testimony, please.
Yes, sir.
I thought it was kind of strange for a bellboy to come out of a guest room empty-handed. Ich bin immer noch der Meinung, dass das nicht komisch ist, weil auf dem, ich sag mal so, auf dem Foto, es war ja nicht wirklich ein Foto, aber es wurde ja vorhin eingeblendet, wie das ausgesehen hat, als Powers beobachtet hat, dass der Bellboy, / Killer, sich mit Matt unterhalten hat. Und da hatte er ein Tablett mit dem Tomatensaft und einem Glas in der Hand. Und in Juan Corridas Zimmer stand ja das Glas mit dem, der Tomatensaft und das Glas standen ja beide da. Das heißt, meiner Meinung nach ist das gar nicht so komisch. Man könnte jetzt einfach argumentieren, dass dieser Bellboy eben das Weinglas dem Juan Corrida gebracht hat. Ich probiere das mal. Okay. Mr. Powers.
Yes?
You're easily influenced by other people's words, aren't you? As soon as you heard that the bellboy might have been the killer, you got caught up in believing it must be true.
But, isn't he really suspicious? He's got all those stitches and...
So, a baseball has stitches. Are you saying all baseballs are suspicious? What kind of stupid argument is that? But okay. You saying all baseballs are suspicious because they have stitches?
Well, there's also, what about him being empty-handed?
I would like to ask the court to please take a look here.
This is the crime scene.
There is a wine glass sitting next to Mr. Corrida's body. The liquid inside this glass is tomato juice. And now, if you would look at what is on top of the table in the lower right corner here.
Anyone can clearly see that it is a tray with a bottle of tomato juice on it.
The bellboy had just brought this to Mr. Corrida's room. He left the tray in the room, which is why he was empty-handed when he left.
But that would mean that the bellboy had seen and left a dead body in the room.
But can you prove that Mr. Corrida was already dead at that time?
No, Mr. Edgeworth,
Yes.
I blame you for leading me down this route.
I'm terribly sorry. What is it with him? Why is he laughing? Witness, isn't there one more thing you would like to share with us?
Is there?
The bellboy was empty-handed, or should I say, empty-handed? Hä? Wie? Soll das denn heißen? I recall you had something interesting to say about his hands.
Oh yeah, I almost forgot.
Huh? What?
That bellboy, he was wearing gloves.
Ja und? Was hat denn das jetzt mit irgendwas zu tun? Gloves?
Yeah, pitch black, leather ones.
Und? Was ist denn da jetzt, hä?
All the other bellboys don't wear gloves like that, right? Like leather gloves. Why didn't you mention them earlier? Sorry, it slipped my mind.
Why does this make the bellboy look really suspicious? Alright, gotta focus. I can't get Lex here. So what if he had gloves? A lot of bellboys wear gloves.
Come on, Mr. Wright, that bellboy was wearing black leather ones.
So, a football is made of leather. Kommt schon wieder diese dumme Argumentation.
Are you saying all footballs are suspicious because they're made of leather?
But that man, he received a large roll of cash from the defendant. And then he was seen leaving the crime scene wearing black leather gloves. I don't think that even someone like myself can believe he was just another bellboy.
It seems that we have finally come to an understanding. Now then, witness, please continue with the rest of your testimony. The rest?
Oh, yes, please tell us more.
Okay. Oh dear, was kommt denn jetzt?